can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Time to rise and grind.
Are you kidding me? Holy on smoke!
And let's get this banter going.
It's bacon!
This is Snowman in the morning.
Does anybody else feel like a fried egg?
And it begins now.
I want to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and...
I think I just broke my chair. He did what? Has anybody ever told you you have a serious impulse control problem?
There is but one cause for me to follow. Almighty the bum!
And here we go.
Oh, yeah!
I feel so bad for that man. You want to talk about a guy that absolutely puts everything into his work, into his life of just baseball. I don't know how he's ever going to function outside of baseball, because he's literally part of baseball in a sense of how everything he does is wrapped around his starts, his work, and it's just like I said. It's my heart goes out to him. My heart hurts for him. Like we've discussed many times before, we're family here, and we truly believe that. And all of us guys know if he could take the ball in any way, shape, or form, he would. Sad to see it. And like I said, our heart goes out to him. But you know what? Next guy up, type mentality. But since he threw today, I'm not really sure if his what he's able to do or capable of doing. I don't have any insight on that. But like I said, if he can go out there, he's going to go. They'd probably make a movie about it, I bet, if he could. He could come back from the dead. Well, like I said, we'll see. Again, I have no speculation, but I'm telling you, if he has any way, shape, or form could take the ball, he will.
Harris is 1-0. Swinging a high fly ball left field, sending Brantley back onto the warning track, at the wall, looking up, and it is gone! Anthony Rendon puts it into the Crawford boxes, and the Nationals lead the ball game 5-2 here in the 7th inning. It's Anthony Rendon's first World Series home run and his second long ball of the postseason.
Here's the pitch. Swinging a drive in the air to right center field. This is deep. Reddick going back, way back over his head, and it is off the wall and in play. Turner has scored. Eaton around third. He will score as the throw comes in from right center field. Anthony Rendon, the game he's having. Tony Two Bags needed a double. He has driven in 5 runs in the game for the Nationals, who have broken it open. It's now the Nationals 7 and the Astros 2.
This unbelievable series is now going to a 7th game. Good morning. Welcome. I'll adjust the lights here in a little bit. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Snowman in the Morning. Glad to have you with us. And you can tweet the show at any time by using the ID at SIT Morning. And you can call the show at any time. The number you need is 773-672-3208. That's 773-672-3208. We are live on Arena Sportsnet, Full Press Radio, KSRN Arizona, and the Western Reserve Digital Broadcast Network. Wow. Wow and wow. Jam-packed show for you on this morning. May have to shorten it a little bit. We'll let you know what's going on there. Bit of a cloudy day where I am, but nice and sunny that I get to talk to you guys about some sports, and I hope it's where y'all are. Mike Debate will join me at 9:30. I'll have the big dog Shane Lake join me top of hour 2 with a very...
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
I'm sorry. I forgot to hit the button. I'm getting back into this very slowly. As mentioned, Mike Debate will join me at the bottom of this hour to talk all things NFL. The most surprising team that could be the best team in the NFL. We'll get into all of that. And my producer, the big dog Shane Lake, gave me something yesterday that I'm going to have him on the phone to talk about at the top of 2. Now, I also said that I would bring my first ever CFP top 4 rankings. Well, I'm going to delay that until tomorrow. There are things I was supposed to create and I didn't get a chance to because I worked late last night, and I didn't get in until a little before 2. I got some good, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fire on all cylinders for you guys this morning. Wow. This has been a World Series that has been twisted. It has been weird. And yet it will see a 7th game. And that 7th game is tonight. The Washington Nationals have in the World Series 3 games apiece. We will see a 5th time in the last 6 years that we will see a 7th game in the World Series. 5th time in the last 7 years, I beg your pardon. That we will see a 7th game in the World Series that I correctly predicted, but I may have incorrectly predicted the wrong team. The biggest thing that stands out about this World Series to me is the fact that no home team has won a game in this series. I'll take you back to 1991 when every home team won in that series. 2 in Minnesota, 3 in Atlanta, the last 2 in Minnesota. Tonight's the last game of the baseball season. And for it to come down to this is perfect. You have the 2 best teams that are competing for a world championship, and neither of those teams have won on their home soil. Remember, the Nationals won the first 2 games, blew out the Astros in Game 2, 12-3, went back to the nation's capital, and got swept in the middle 3 games. So now all the momentum comes back to the Astros, and yet, let's just call it honestly, the Nationals outplayed them. There was a controversial call in the 7th inning, which I will probably discuss later, but I want to bring it to the scope of the series. Not a home team has won in this series, and Steven Strasburg, should the Nationals win tonight, and I would definitely have some extended time on the World Series. Should the Nationals win tonight, I will share a thought that has been shared by quite a few people. I think Steven Strasburg just pitched himself into the World Series MVP for that performance. And what I can liken this to, I hate bringing up the year 1991 for a lot of Atlanta Braves fans I know, but think about 1991 and how that series ended and who was involved. That 1991 World Series came down to a 7th game, and I want to thank all the folks that are tuning in on the Facebook Live feed. It came down to a 7th game, and Jack Morris pitched himself into the World Series MVP. He was 2-0 in that series. Steven Strasburg, with that Game 6 performance where he went 8 1/3 innings, holding this powerful Astros offense to 2 runs, one of them a solo home run from another MVP candidate in Alex Bregman. Steven Strasburg has pitched the Nationals to a 7th game. He has possibly, should the Nationals win, pitched himself into the World Series MVP. Incredible. Absolutely incredible game last night. A controversial call in the 7th inning. Trey Turner was called out on runner's interference. I believe he should have been called safe, But I want to keep it on how incredible this series is, and I'm probably going to keep saying that. Not a home team has won in this series. The Nationals looked dominant in the first 2 games in Houston. The Astros looked just as dominant in games 3, 4, and 5 in Washington, to the point where the Nats didn't even hold a lead in the middle 3 games. And then game 6 last night with Steven Strasburg, which means Max Scherzer will take the ball for game 7 tonight. You heard the comments from Adam Eaton, and the highlights are courtesy of WJFK, Major League Baseball, Nationals, and Charlie Slows and Dave Jagler were on the call. How do you explain this? How in the world do you explain this World Series and how it has gone? Strasburg kept the performance, and I say dominant because he held a Houston team that has a complete lineup in terms of their bats to 2 runs. I'll say it again. He held them to 2 runs. Meanwhile, the Nationals, I'll tell you another World Series MVP contender, Anthony Rendon, 5 RBIs last night in the 7-2 win for the Washington Nationals. You can make the case that Trey Turner can get votes for MVP. This should have been all about a coronation. Instead, it was all about the Nationals' resilience. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yes, I picked Houston to win this series, but I also said it was going to be a fantastic series. And it comes down to its completion tonight. It comes down to a 7th game. It comes down to a 7th game, which is something I felt was going to happen anyway. Game 7 is tonight on Fox. Joe Buck will have the call on the national broadcast, and he'll also Charlie Slow, Dave Jagler on WJFK, the Washington Nationals flagship network, flagship station, and Robert Fords will have the call for the Astros. There will be a championship game tonight. It's game 7. There will be a champion crowned tonight. Will the Nationals make history and become the first team to win 4 road games in the series? Will this be a historic series where not a home team wins a game? I've seen series like that before. I really have. I have seen series like that before where not a home team wins. And the comparison I will draw is 1984, the New Philadelphia 76ers. Not a home team won that game. How's that for having something historic? The historic Game 7 is tonight. Take a break, and when y'all get back, I will talk about the one aspect of this World Series that I knew would come into play and would make it an epic series. It's going to have an epic conclusion tonight. Call the show at any time, 773-672-3208. Follow me on your internet TV with YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live, and on our radio flagship network of Arena Sportsnet, arenasportsnet.com. Go to full press coverage, FPCradio.com, FPC Radio Live, Chaos, Arizona, and the Western Reserve Digital Network. Hey, you want to advertise with this program? Drop an email to snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. That is snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. Great rates available, starting at $200 a month and going as high as $500 a month. And that is when you can get the entire package. When you go for the high package for advertising on our show, you get on all of our networks. You go live as well. The audio feed, the video feed, it's all yours. And that package can start as low as $200 a month. Take a pause for a break. I'll tell you the one reason why the World Series has gone to its 7th game when y'all get back in a flash.
Some energy drinks want to scare you. Some even want to bully you around. Others, they're just blowing smoke. Packed with vitamins B3, B5, B6, and B12, the new Hi-Q energy drink comes available in exciting flavors. Skyberry Fusion, Coconut Fruit Punch, and Lemon Lime. Natural caffeine, no preservatives, no crash, no bull. Hi-Q energy drink. Wings are for birds.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty within?
C, look.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information, contact You Gotta Believe at yougottabelieve.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know I'm a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break just once. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where sports talk lives.
Next!
Excellent.
What?
Just getting started on this wacky Wednesday edition of Snowman in the Morning. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget, you can tweet the show at any time by using the ID at SIT Morning. And also, you can call the show at any time. Number you need, 773-672-3208. Still a lot to get into concerning the World Series. Good morning to my friend Sharif, who is dialing in from Texas City, Texas. And I will tell you the reason right now why the World Series has gone to a 7th game. And it goes like this. It's not because our home team has won in the series. There's a reason for that. It's not because both offenses in their home parks have been shut. There's a reason for that. And it's not because, well, I'll save the other reason. The reason is simple. Ching. I said this before the series started, that it would be an epic pitching matchup. You got one tonight. Max Scherzer, Zach Greinke. And kudos to Max Scherzer. He said that he would take the ball for Game 7, and he is. Okay? Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, Patrick Corbin on one side, Zach Greinke, Justin Verlander, and Garrett Cole on the other. It's going to be up to Zach Greinke, who has not had the best postseason success, to just leave it all out there. And when I say leave it out there, he has to really He has to start early. And the Houston offense has to start early because once Scherzer gets locked in, he's locked in. Okay? But the pitching is the reason this series has gone to a 7th game. I outlined last night's performance by Steven Strasburg. Every pitch was working. His fastball, his curveball, his wipeout slider. That slider is a wipeout pitch. Everything has worked for the pitchers in this series. Look at Garrett Cole's performance in Game 5. That gave the Astros a 3-2 lead in the series. And I thought once they snatched the series lead that it would be a foregone conclusion that they would win the title at home. How wrong I was. And I'll happily admit how wrong I was. But for teams like the Los Angeles Dodgers, the New York Yankees, the Chicago Cubs that I've spoken about throughout this postseason, take note. Pitching wins you championships. Wins you championships. And Max Scherzer has a chance to do something incredible. When he couldn't take the mound for Game 5, you heard by Adam Eaton, he said, we're a family, and we're standing behind him. Well, they're going to be behind Max Scherzer tonight, and you know what's going to be crazy down in Houston. Max Scherzer will take the ball on the road in probably one of the most hostile environments. One of the hostile environments, Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas. Now I hate bringing this fact up for the Astros fans, but there was a World Series clinched team in Houston. And it makes me smile because it was my 2005 Chicago White Sox. Granted, that was a 4-game sweep. But now the Nationals have a chance to do something. If Max Scherzer is lights out tonight and holds this Houston offense in check and the Nationals get started early, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I would have been wrong with my prediction, but it's a 7th game. Anything can happen in a 7th game. Just ask Jack Morris. Just ask the Minnesota Twins. Just ask the Chicago Cubs 3 years ago. Just ask the Houston Astros 2 years ago. 7th game on the road in Los Angeles. And the Astros won. They celebrated a league title, the Astros did, on their home turf twice, 2017 and 2019. Matter of fact, the last 3 American League championships have been clinched in Houston. One of those 3 was the Boston Red Sox. 2018. And you wonder why people don't get the lesson that you need pitching. And the team I reference in this is the Los Angeles Dodgers. I go back to Game 5 of the National League Division Series between the Washington Nationals and the Los Angeles Dodgers. A lot of people say it was a foregone conclusion. The Dodgers would sweep the Nationals. Not so fast. The Nats had an answer. And they had to do it in Game 5 on the road. Experience of facing elimination on the road. Because when they faced elimination on the road in Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago, this happened.
Kelly's 1-strike pitch. Swinging a fly ball, center field deep. Bellinger going back to the warning track, to the wall. It's a grand slam. Howie Kendrick has done it. They're going crazy in the Nationals dugout. Howie Kendrick with a grand slam here in the 10th inning of 5. The Nationals 7, the Dodgers 3. Do you believe it?
Dave Jackler on the call for that. And as much as I would love to see him win it all, because I believe they were the best team right now may be in red, white, and blue. They may be the Nationals. And it's wild because I am a Nationals fan. I follow the Nationals, I follow the White Sox, I follow the Giants, and I do follow the Astros, as well as my original team, which is the St. Louis Cardinals. How wild if the Nationals were to do to the Astros what the Astros did to the Dodgers 2 years ago. And that's clinch on the road. That is clinch on the road. That would be crazy if that were to happen. But it comes down to Max Scherzer and Zach Greinke. Postseason experience for both of them. Scherzer has not pitched in a week. I believe he hasn't pitched in a week. Marquette Sutton, what's going on? Checking us out on the Facebook feed. He's Todd Allen, Gary Lowry, Kerry Wood. Who else? Travis Patrick, he of Hebron Hawks baseball fame. Coach Petrosky, Kenneth McReynolds, very dear friend of mine. Jay Moss, Lewis Walker, Greg Arias. The big dog Shane Lake, who will join me for top of hour 2. Avion Hale, who has I think it's a football indoor football league that he manages, that he's in charge. But thank you to all the folks that are tuning in on the Facebook Live feed. But to finish my point, it comes down to something that I said would decide this series at the top of this series. Pitching. The Los Angeles Dodgers didn't have it. The Chicago Cubs didn't have it. The New York Yankees didn't have it, and they should have gotten wiped out in 5 games. But while I'm speaking of pitching, let me bring another fact. Justin Verlander's 0-2 in the World Series. What? Yeah. And both times Verlander has lost in the World Series has been at home. Game 2 and now Game 6. Verlander lost 2 games in the World Series at home. That's wild. Cole has won 2 games has won 1 game in the World Series. I beg your pardon. He lost game 1 and he won game 5. How can you figure this series out? And it comes down to something that I've said all along. Pitching. You got great pitching on both sides. And now Zach Greinke gets a chance to prove his worth to Houston. And Max Scherzer, who has always proved his worth to Washington, gets a chance to seal up a World Series. And I said Strasburg may have pitched himself into the MVP, but what if Max Scherzer delivers another epic performance? Wow. You never know what's going to happen. That's why Game 6 of the World Series is tonight. I'm going to pause for a quick break. And coming up next, Mike Debate. We'll talk about who is the top team in the NFL, and the answer will surprise you. Catch us on all of our radio partners, Arena Sportsnet, Full Press Radio, KSRN Arizona, as well as Western Reserve Digital Radio. The phone number you need to call in, 773-672-3208. Drop that email to snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. And at 3 p.m. today, you can hear the podcast of the program. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast, that's where you can find us. Pause for a break. Mike Debate in 120 seconds in a flash.
This show sponsored by Unforgettables. Unforgettables creates detailed hand-painted baseballs for every baseball fan. Check them out at unforgettables.com.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got King?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit father.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the CEO of Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults in America have prediabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Years 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mom. My mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Betty can do that in reverse.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true lives.
Excellent.
Oh, you can.
Hey, want to get some live reads for your product? You can do so on this show for as low as $150. You could get some live reads on this program for as low as $150 a week or $300 a month. We're still working out the rates. We want you to hang with us and get your brand out with us. Drop an email to snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. That's snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. All right, time for some NFL business, and I welcome my good buddy from Full Press Radio, Mike Debate, to the program. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Brian. Always a pleasure to be here with you on a Wednesday morning and talk some NFL football.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I was posed a question of who I thought the best team in the NFL is right now. I also made that a question of the day a couple days ago. There are 2 answers, one in the AFC, one in the NFC. What's the common denominator? They're both undefeated.
Absolutely, and it's hard to argue with those that evidence and that result. Look, the New England Patriots, the San Francisco 49ers have clearly separated themselves from the pack in both conferences. Yeah, there's teams up there that can definitely give them a run for their money, and I think Patriots get tested this week against the Baltimore Ravens. There are certainly some contenders in the NFC, the New Orleans Saints, the Green Bay Packers, the Seattle Seahawks, just to name a few off the top of my head. But when it comes to the teams right now that are in the seat and the ones that control their own destiny, it is so hard to argue against the San 49ers. They love to be phenomenal, very much for real. Their offense bolstered by the running game. Jimmy G looks a little more comfortable each game that he takes snaps. So hard to argue with the results of that. And, of course, the New England Patriots in the AFC, still the reigning champs, and they're still the top of the hill when it comes to the AFC teams. Until someone knocks them off, you have to go with the Patriots.
Let's get into the 49ers, and we've been speaking about them ad nauseum since this past spring. And we knew when they drafted Nick Bosa that defense was going to be dynamite. They just had to heal from injury. I didn't think they would be this dynamite, and what they did to Carolina this past Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the final score, both on the offense and the defensive side of the ball, the 49ers dominated this contest. I've said several times over the last couple of days, let's not put the illusion here that they did this against a team that is either tanking or against a team that is having difficulties or, beat up on lesser competition. Carolina Panthers have been playing very, very well. They've been playing great football sides of the ball. So for the 49ers to come in and do what they did to the Carolina Panthers, I think shows you a lot. It shows the discipline of the defense, first of all. It shows their ability to be able to rush the passer. They have some of the best in the business of being able to do that. It's unbelievable what Nick Bosa has been able to do for this team as a rookie. But you've got guys like Dee Ford, guys that are constantly evolving and changing their game to fit the narrative. And you see that in the good teams, the teams that are there at the end. And I see that in the San Francisco 49ers. For them to be able to do offensively what they've done between the run game, putting points on the board. George Kittle, to me, is the best tight end in the National Football League. I know a lot of people are going to sit there and then talk about Travis Kelce. And look, the argument can be made. He's right there near the top. But I think Kittle has separated himself this year in the play that he's made, and the synergy he's been able to get with quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. So, you can't say enough good things about the San Francisco 49ers right now. And I know you're a fan, and I'm not doing this to patronize you, Mike. I'm saying this honestly. Yeah. I really do believe this is the best team in the NFC right now. And until someone proves me otherwise, I think they're the front runners to head to Miami for a Super Bowl amazing story if they were able to do that, considering the difficulties that they had last year.
The last couple of years, it took Kyle Shanahan being hired as a coach, John Lynch being hired as the GM, for that regime to really develop the synergy that they have. And let's look at Jimmy Garoppolo. You said it best. He's getting more and more comfortable. And what people have to remember, he's coming off of a horrific injury that he suffered in Kansas City last year. They get a test Thursday night in the division when they go see Arizona. 10 days off, and they face off against the Arizona again. I am of this opinion. If the Niners win those 3 games, the division's theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you can make the argument that the NFC might be theirs at that point. Don't forget, sandwiched in between the 2 matchups with Arizona, and I never take divisional opponents lightly. These know each other so well.
Right.
And that's really the case with any divisional opponents. I hear it all the time up here in the East when it comes to the New England Patriots. Oh, their division is this. Their division is that. Oh, their division stinks. Well, yeah, you may look at it objectively and say, well, their division has teams with subpar records. But you also look at it and you say that these teams know each other very well. They see each other twice a year. The personnel remains somewhat the same. There are guys that are hanging around with these teams year after year that know their opponents. And the San Francisco 49ers and Arizona Cardinals, I expect good games in both of those, simply for that reason, because the 2 teams know each other so well. But even if you want to is saying, okay, well, maybe they're not up to the 49ers level. The Seattle Seahawks are up to that level.
Yes.
They are a team that's capable of an improved defense. So now all of a sudden you're looking at that game being a real quote-unquote test to the 49ers medal. And again, I do believe they have been tested. They were tested this weekend against the Carolina Panthers, a very good football team, and they passed that test with flying colors. So I don't want to hear too much about, oh, they haven't played anyone. Yes, they have, and I think they'll continue to do that. Consecutive victories coming off of the bye week against Arizona and then sandwiched in between against Seattle. I think they're very much at the driver's seat for the number 1 seed and a first-round bye in the NFC. So to me, those are going to be 3 key games for them. I'm glad you mentioned them, and we'll see what happens.
Victory, that demolition in Los Angeles of the Los Angeles Rams.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And the Rams, for all the intents and purposes, the Rams definitely tried to do everything that they could to beef up their team. We saw Keith Talib jettisoned yesterday in that trade deadline. They've got Jalen Ramsey in the fold now. You got to think they're going to be looking to lock him up. Cooper Kupp has been playing probably some of the best him play. Again, he coming off of a very as well.
Absolutely.
So the Rams are going to be a team that wants to make a statement in this division and be able to do that it's going to be difficult against this the San Francisco 49ers team, who I think is the best team in the division, and I think they'll continue to show that. But the Rams are playing for pride. The Seattle Seahawks are playing for pride in that division. That's a very, very good division, and don't sleep on the Arizona Cardinals, folks.
Oh, no.
There's talent on both sides of the ball. They haven't maybe been able to put it together yet in terms of the team that we're going to be seeing down the line. But Kyler Murray was the right choice for this team and this franchise and Cliff Kingsbury. So I love the AFC. I love the AFC West. Well, not so much there. I love the NFC West. And I think this is going to be a very, very hotly contested division, but there are some very, very good football teams, and I think we're for a real treat with this division, seeing how it all shakes out when all is said and done.
Speaking of a test, the 49ers tomorrow night, and we'll break that down before I let you go, but the New England Patriots have a test coming up also, and that's Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens.
Very, very much so. And I actually discussed this with Kevin Ostreicher, who hosts Locked On Ravens for the Locked On Podcast Network yesterday evening as we were preparing for our crossover show today. And in a lot of ways, like how I work that plug-in, I'm getting pretty good at that. But in any case, you offer the platform, my friend, and I love you for it, and I appreciate it. Most guys would be angry when I said that, but you always do a great job of helping to pump my tires, so I appreciate that, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. But all kidding aside, and getting back to the issue at hand, and yes, the New England Patriots are going to be tested this weekend. They haven't faced a quarterback with the mobility and the arm combination of Lamar Jackson yet this season. They faced some talented signal callers. They were able to face Ben Roethlisberger in week one. Obviously, that was a one-sided affair, which a lot of people didn't see coming. I did. Right. I thought the Patriots would dominate in that contest. They faced Sam Darnold. We all saw what they did, there. Baker Mayfield had some limited success against them Sunday's game this past weekend. But Lamar Jackson is able to drop back. He's able to throw the ball very, very well and can be a pocket threat. When the Patriots take that away, which they have the defense and personnel to be able to do that. Their secondary is playing at an elite level, starting with Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Jackson. In the safety position, you got Devin McCourty, Patrick Chung, Deron Hall. They've gotten great, contributions from that secondary. When that happens, Lamar Jackson is able to sit back and he's able to. If I don't have anywhere to throw, I'm just going to run it. And he's one of the best runners. He's fourth in the league in rushing yards. He's a quarterback. That's pretty impressive. That is really, really amazing. So the Patriots are going to have their hands full, because if there is one area of this Patriots defense that's been historically good so far, that is a little bit vulnerable, it's their run defense. We've seen runners come in and be able to put up big chunks of yards against them. Frankly, the Buffalo Bills. Le'Veon Bell actually did it in the annihilation game with the New York Jets in the Meadowlands, 33-0. But Le'Veon did one for over 70 yards, so that's not a blockbuster game, but it is some success. And of course, Nick Chubb did it this weekend against the Patriots, with a Cleveland Browns team that has been known to have the diversity in their offensive game planning, and they were able to come in knowing that Chubb was going to be part of the reason they wanted to contain. Chubb still ran for over 100 yards. So if there is an area that the Braves exploit this weekend, that's it. And that's going to make this a very big test for the Patriots defense especially.
Speaking of tests and teams that have passed said test, how about the resiliency of the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday?
I've heard a lot over the course of the last couple of days about the Colts, and a lot of it has kind of angered me a little bit. I was very impressed by their win on Sunday. I thought it showed grit. I thought it showed determination. They came out and took it to their opponent and got the win and made the plays when they needed to be able to do that, especially with Marlon Mack's run. And then, of course, the greatest of all time, Adam Vinatieri, icing the game with a 51-yard field goal. The guy is Father Time. He's ageless. We talk about Tom Brady up here in New England, but you've got to give that credit to Adam Vinatieri.
Absolutely.
And I told you, a part of me will always see him wearing a silver helmet with the flying Elvis on the side of it. But, he's been a Colt longer than he's been a Patriot. So, you got to make the argument now that he may be more indelible to that franchise. But to me, his crowning moment still came in New England. But so much respect for what he's done. But with a lot of people have been saying, oh, well, they're lucky they got that game, or they were lucky they beat a Denver Broncos team that was barely, even coherent, and they should have done a lot more.
Right.
To me, that doesn't make them contenders. I don't believe that in the least. I believe it does make them contenders. In fact, I think it even enhances my opinion of the Indianapolis Colts, because sometimes there are letdowns. I mean, every team has them. There's nothing wrong with saying that. There are letdowns. There may be a little bit playing down to your competition, or maybe not bringing your A game enough to be able to beat some of these teams. Coming in and saying, hey, you know what? And this, I'm speaking on the Denver Broncos perspective, this is our Super Bowl right now, guys. We have to play every single game like it's our last one, because we're not really competing for a division title right now. So we're going to take it to them. We're going to give them everything we've got. I don't think Denver played their best game by any stretch. It was a sloppy game at times, but good teams find a way to win those games. And the Indianapolis Colts are a good team, and they found a way to win that. And I don't think that's a harbinger of things to come. I think this was maybe a blip on the radar. They win. They're happy to get the win, and I look for them to come out in their next game and be a lot more effective on both sides of the ball. A great deal of talent, and I still think they're the best team in their division. So we'll see what happens, but I was impressed by the Colts, and I was glad to see them come out with a victory, albeit whatever you want to say about the victory, it's a win, and a win counts the same in the win-loss column, whether you squeak by or whether you blow a team out. You're playing NFL competition here, folks. This isn't, a college team versus a pro team, or a high school team versus a pro team. The two pro teams going at it, and the Colts deserve that victory on Sunday.
They earned that victory. And staying in that game, how about the play by Jacoby Brissett on that final drive? If he doesn't escape Von Miller in the end zone, we're not even having this conversation about that Colts game.
Very true. And you have to give credit for Jacoby. And look, I've seen him do this in training camp. These are plays that the Patriots worked on in terms of having him be elusive and having him, squirm and be able to get out of the way and be able to evade a defender and make a play. So when I saw him make it, I had flashbacks of him in Foxborough a few years ago, making those types of throws and making those types of plays, simply because I've seen them work on that before. This is the type of talent we both knew that the Colts were getting. Buck retired, and that's why we were so high on this team. You more so than even myself, and I still had a high opinion of them. You really, really knew and saw a lot in this Colts team, and it begins and ends with Brissett, and you have to be very impressed by what he's been able to do, coming in, taking the reins as the full-time starter in Indianapolis, and really making that job his own now. So I'm happy for Jacoby. I'm happy to see him playing well, and look for those to continue, folks. If you're an Indianapolis Colts fan, that's going to continue with this team, because he can definitely do that.
Speaking of which, let's stay in the AFC South. How about the performance by Deshaun Watson?
Oh, well, I think that there is a case to be made that Deshaun Watson's throw at the end of that game against the Raiders may end up being one of the plays of the year. I think that's definitely going to be nominated.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the guy rolls out under pressure, gets kicked in the face, gets up, and makes the throw downfield to be able to find
adjusting
the
his
receiver and get the
helmet.
touchdown. Exactly.
While
I mean, it really, really was. It does speak to the athleticism and just the pure talent that a guy like Deshaun Watson brings to the table. I'm a big fan of his, and I know we talk a lot about the Indianapolis Colts and say it's their division. I still do believe that, but that's never, ever a disrespect intended to the Houston Texans, who I think have a lot of great talent on that team. Definitely sorry to see what happened with J.J. Watt. I mean, you have to really feel for the guy. He is truly one of the better guys in this league. Stand-up individual. We all in Houston after the devastations of the hurricanes and the terrible weather that they had there. He really stepped up, such a pillar of the community. Hope he gets healthy, then he's able to continue a great career next year, because injuries have plagued him throughout his career, and that's a shame for a guy like J.J. Watt. But Watson will continue to keep the Houston Texans in games, because he is just that good. And he's got great talent on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively now, that's where, if I'm a Texans fan, I worry just a little bit. Whitney Merciless is a great defender, but now all of a sudden he's the guy that other teams can zero in on. If you start stacking the offensive line on him and trying to contain him and keep him off guard, maybe even throw a tight end in there to try to do some blocking, all of a sudden he might be neutralized. And if he's neutralized, that opens up a lot for opposing offenses to be able to score on the So now they face a difficulty in being able to rein that all in. We'll see what happens when it comes to the Houston Texans, but great win against the Oakland Raiders, who hung around, really made that a game. And the Oakland Raiders did kind of shoot themselves in the foot a couple of times in that game as well, if we're being honest. You know, if you're a contending team and you want to be a contending team, you have to make those plays, and you have to make them at a consistent record. So, you know, it's one of those things where hopefully, you know, they'll right the ship, because I think they're onto something there in Oakland, and maybe onto something there a little quicker than most people thought. But at the same time, credit the Texans for a big win for them. That keeps them right in the discussion for contention in the AFC.
One more division to look at, and you look at the NFC South. The Carolina Panthers are chasing the New Orleans Saints right now. Tampa's trying to improve. Atlanta's having an abysmal season. And then you look up top and you see Bridgewater held that team together for the games that Drew Brees was out, and then Drew Brees comes back and throws for almost 400 yards. You have to be thinking in that division, it's not fair. It's just not fair.
It's true. You know, what other team could sustain a loss like Drew Brees, a absolute surefire Hall of Fame, one of the better quarterbacks to ever play in this league? And he goes down, but a former first-round pick comes in and does an amazing job of keeping this team undefeated while he's on the bench. He comes back and does an amazing job and throws for over 400 yards. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If I'm a team in that division, I am crying that it's not fair. But you know what? It's football. The New Orleans Saints are for real. If there is a team right now that I believe has the best chance of going toe-to-toe with this San Francisco 49ers team, defense and all, it's the New Orleans Saints. This team is a complete team. They're great on offense. They're very, very good on defense. They get timely help on special teams. Those are the little things that it takes for teams to win. Seeing San Francisco do it consistently, you're also seeing New Orleans do it consistently. So I think these two teams are on a collision course for the NFC title. I would put them 1 and 2 right now, albeit respect for the Seahawks and the Packers, who I think are hanging around in that discussion as well. But those two teams are right now a little cut above what you're seeing, simply because I think that they're more stout. Both of them are more stout on defense than both the Packers and the Seahawks. That's why I give them the nod in this. Certainly the San Francisco 49ers, one of the best defenses in the league, but I think New Orleans separates themselves defensively a little bit above Green Bay and Seattle now in the NFC. So, yeah, just impressive for the New Orleans Saints. You wondered what Brees was going to look like when he came back. Once you saw him out there and you saw him doing his thing, you knew he was going to be the Drew Brees of old, and he looked solid on Sunday.
And those two teams, the Saints and the 49ers, meet in the Superdome in 5 weeks' time. Could be a preview of the NFC Championship. And it's like you said, no disrespect at all to the Seattle Seahawks. They're phenomenal right now. No disrespect to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers either, and the 49ers Packers in the Bay in 1 month's time. But if you're looking for a preview of an NFC Championship, you and I put this out there, it's New Orleans and San Francisco.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in a lot of ways in the AFC, you might be seeing the budding nature of possibly an AFC championship game preview this weekend with the New England Patriots and the Baltimore Ravens. Absolutely. And a lot of people are going to roll their eyes when I say that, and they talk about the Chiefs, and they say, oh, yeah, there he goes, that New England guy right away is going to disrespect you. Not disrespecting the Chiefs in any way or form.
Right.
You have to see how Patrick Mahomes is going to look when he finally comes back from his injury. If he comes back and shows no signs of rust, the Chiefs are right back in that discussion of being in the thick of things for a number 2 seed and being able to challenge the New England Patriots. If he doesn't for any reason, and it is possible, folks, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but it is possible that that knee and the ankle may limit Mahomes' mobility. If that does happen, it does limit what Kansas City's able to do offensively. So with that, the injury to J.J. Watt with the Houston Texans obviously hurts them. All of a sudden, the Baltimore Ravens are looking at things and saying, you know what, we're pretty solid on defense. We're very good on offense. We have the ability to go in there. If we can take it to the Patriots in our home stadium here on Sunday Night Football and show the world that we're capable of hanging with this team, all of a sudden that could give them a lot of confidence going into the in November and December. So, yeah, I think there's some great games coming up on the schedule, and I, for one, can't wait to see a few of them.
Nor can I. A November matchup may turn into a January matchup, but you can't leave out the Indianapolis Colts either. Seeding when talking about competing for a top seed in the AFC. It's a 3 right now in the AFC with the Colts, the Ravens, and the Patriots. And in the NFC, you can make it a 4-team race. The Seahawks, the Saints, and the 49ers. This is when the fun really starts. And it's always fun when I have Mike Debate with me. You can catch him on fullpresscoverage.com, the Locked On Podcast Network, when he talks New England Patriots. I've had the pleasure of appearing on that podcast. It's absolutely terrific. I want y'all to go check it out and follow him on Twitter at MDABATEFPC. Always a pleasure, my friend. And Friday, we're going to do some picks.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's the best part of my Friday. And look, some of the highlights of my week are appearing on the show. Again, Brian, I keep listening. You keep doing an amazing job. Keep doing you and doing what you're doing, my friend. I'm proud of you. And it's always my honor to join you on this show. And I'll do it as long as you continue to want to have me.
I appreciate it.
I'm here for the long haul.
I appreciate it, my friend. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, buddy. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you on Friday.
Talk to you on Friday. Thanks
all.
I'll give you a quick preview of a Thursday night game. As a matter of fact, my producer's telling me to take a break, so I'm going to take a break. You're going to hear an extended music break, but I want to let y'all know that we have another hour of Snowman in the Morning coming up. Tweet the show at any time at SIT Morning. You can call the show at 773-672-3208. And coming up next, there's a question that is finally going to be answered. I'll have Shane Lake on the line with me to discuss that. Hey, listen, if you want to know where you can find me on the radio at Arena Sportsnet, Full Press Coverage, KSRN Arizona, and the Western Reserve Digital Broadcast Network. Be an affiliate, drop an email to snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. That's snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. An extended break, and when you're back, a question has been answered. I'll tell you what the question is, and I'll tell you what the answer is. And I'm going to have some help in discussing it. Back in the flash.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
Thanks a lot, Doc.
Next! Hour 2 of Snowman in the Morning happens right now. And you can catch us on radio on your favorite app as we are live on TuneIn. And you can catch us on Arena Sportsnet, Full Press Radio, KSRN Arizona, as well as the Western Reserve Digital Broadcast Network. And I want to welcome my producer for Hour 2 as we're going to discuss something that should have been discussed a long time ago. This is Shane Lake, and he's on now. What's up?
Oh, same old business, Brian. Just another fun day in paradise.
How's the baby boy doing?
Oh, keeping me on my toes like always.
Is he still growing like weed?
Keeping me busy. Oh, you have no idea, dude. You have no idea.
Okay. You gave me an article, and I want you to expand on it, that allows players to profit off of their likeness. My question to you, is this long overdue?
How long have there been college football games coming out for PlayStation, Genesis, as far back as that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should have happened a long time ago.
And it's good that it's happening, because the NCAA won't like just come out and pay players, even though colleges are making money hand over fist, like millions of dollars. So for them to get this piece of the pie is amazing.
Mm-hmm. It is.
But there are going to be some people that'll argue against. Oh, you're getting paid by getting a scholarship. Maybe that ain't enough.
God, no. But I posed this yesterday after I saw the story. I said, is this the end of the one and done?
I say it is. That's
the biggest reason. That's the biggest players left, college basketball after 1 year it was a rule in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have at least 1 year of college, and then you take off. Well, now that players are getting paid throughout by 2021, does this end one and done?
What do you think? I think it does.
Oh, it has to. It has to. I mean, it makes more sense now, because now you can play your entire 4 years. You can fall back on something, and you're still going to have a little bit of bank to help you through. It makes more sense.
And I'll say this to you. Think of some of the players that have come before now that could have really used it to get through. Some of the legends that have come through college. And one that comes to mind right now is Ricky Williams at Texas. Imagine if he had that. Imagine if he had the ability to profit off of his likeness in the video game industry. You think that would have helped him stay off of the smoke?
Oh, easily. Although there's always going to be the devil's advocate that's always going to say, "Oh, well, it could have made things worse." Yeah, but
true.
The good outweighs the bad.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of the one and dones, and this is especially true for college basketball, there has to be an incentive. Well, this is a big incentive, but there has to be more incentives put in, for the kids to further their education as well as their athletic pursuits as well. Don't you think?
Oh, there's got to be, but this is going to be the help of it all, is the 4-year incentive of, hey, you're going to get paid all 4 years, plus you're going to get an education to fall back on if sports doesn't work out. I mean, look how many guys get injured senior year, and they can't play pro sports. You're going to have the bank to fall back on to help you start up whatever you're in school for.
The top governing board, it is. The top governing board, listen, folks, voted unanimously to allow college athletes to be compensated through the NCAA's 3 divisions. Must still craft their own rules and detail for details. They must be treated similarly to non-athlete students, must not be treated like employee of their respective universities, and there should be a clear distinction between college and professional opportunities. Get all of that from the article from Google. In September, California became the first state to pass a law that would allow college athletes to get paid for endorsement deals and hire sport agents. It also says, and I want to really touch on this, the NCAA is embracing change. Let me put a word in that sentence. NCAA was forced to embrace change, and it's about time this call was made.
Oh yeah, it was, because like I said, look at the video game revenues. That's your first one.
And it's crazy that the revenues are like this. It's absolutely crazy.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's ridiculous. But yet again, that's just the nature of the beast.
It is. It's about time that this is happening. And the other thing is that kind of worries me. How soon will this be placed so the athletes can concentrate comfortably on what they need to do?
At the longest, it's going to be about another 2 years. But depending on the school, it could be implemented as soon as March Madness, maybe sooner.
That would be great. That would be great. You know, for student athletes to have that. You know, I grew up in the old school where work was the thing for non-student athletes, and the student athletes got scholarships and those benefits. But now you get this. This is huge for those kids.
Oh, you have no idea. I mean, think about let's go as far back as when I used to play sports. Imagine how big that would have been.
Oh, man. Big time.
Oh, yeah. Scholarships just aren't enough these days.
No.
Scholarships just are not enough.
No, they're not. Because what happens if you lose a scholarship to something that you couldn't control, like an illness? I've seen that happen.
Or the fact of injury. I mean, think of that. I mean, you got a guy who comes in freshman year. He's, the highest ranked prospect. He goes down with an injury, can't play for a while. Then what?
And the school look at it like he's costing us money to promote him, so he shouldn't get any benefit in return.
Exactly. And that's the problem is if a guy goes down with injury, all of a sudden, well, you're out scholarship money. What are you supposed to do? With this, now the players are going to have a bit more of a kickback. Maybe that lightens up the load on scholarships a little bit more. Who knows?
Yeah, and it presents another opportunity for a kid to walk on and turn that into a scholarship.
Exactly. So I mean, the fact that there's always going to be, the advocates saying, "Oh, well, this is just going to make things a lot worse for everybody down the road." Yeah, granted, but the better part of it outweighs. Plain and simple.
It really does. It really does. Joining me here to kick off hour 2 of Snowman in the Morning. All right, let's go back to what happened in the 7th inning last night of Game 6. Trey Turner flying down the lane. Bregman picks up, throws to first, goes off of Gurriel's glove, hits Turner. Turner is called out. Why was he called out?
Well, they say it's runner interference or batter interference, technically.
How is that batter's interference?
Well, and again, Snowman, you and I discussed this early this morning, I should say. I was watching on Twitter about all this. If you look at where most runners run down the line compared to where Turner ran down the line, Turner was more towards the grass, where most runners are more, inside the line.
Right.
Now, granted, he didn't deviate anything. He direct motion. And I said to you, well, what if the throw is what brought Gurriel as far over as it did?
Yeah.
Still, it's a judgment call based off. And here's the thing: it was the home plate umpire that made the call. It wasn't first base.
No. No, home plate umpire made the call.
Now, I get why Martinez was pissed off. I mean, he ran straight down the line. Yes, but rules do state there should be a fair opportunity to catch the ball to make a play, whether the throw was offline or not.
Mm-hmm.
Turner ran kind of heated that.
It wasn't as blatant as A-Rod, and you and I talked about this early this morning when I got home. It wasn't as blatant as A-Rod's was in 2004. Yes, it's still out gray area, and it needs to be addressed.
There needs to be, the judgment call. There doesn't need to be judgment calls. It has to be black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Did he intentionally interfere with the ball? No. It was the throw that brought it over, but the way he ran induced contact.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what got him called out. Plain and simple. I mean, that's the problem. There has to be a more definitive batter interference call than judgment.
Yes. And that wasn't interference last night. That wasn't. I saw the play on the way home. I looked at it 100 times before I came in the house. That was not interference. Turner should have been called safe.
He should have been sitting on second, to be honest with you, when that home run was hit by Rendon.
Mm-hmm. He should have been called safe. He should have been, like you said, he should have been sitting on second base. And that should have been a 3-run bomb instead of only 2 for Rendon.
Exactly.
But let's look at the overall scope of this series. What did I say on this program that it would come down to for this series to be decided? It's a factor no one believed. Who called into the show said, "Oh, that's not going to come down to. It's going to come down to a pitching performance."
And you're going to have a couple of aces on the hill for Game 7. Because this is going to be fun.
And Max Scherzer gets the ball for Game 7 tonight after not being able to go in Game 5 due to a neck injury. How incredible is that?
Big game Max is going to have to live up to it. I mean, come on. This dude pitched with a broken nose this year and ended up winning a game going 7 2/3?
Mm-hmm. 7 2/3.
He threw a gem with a broken nose. This dude is a warrior, and he will prove it tonight.
So you're saying the Nationals will do it?
I'm saying the Nationals will make Major League Baseball history by being, and this is the truth, I actually looked this up. This is the only series, if the Nationals pull Game 7 tonight, this is the only World Series. The road team has won every single game.
It'll be the opposite of 91 where the home team won every single game. And it's the 5th time we see a 7th game in the past 7 years. The only other times that it did not happen, or one of the other times it did not happen, was 2010 when the Royals won 5 games. But
didn't the Sox Dodgers wrap up early too?
Yes, 5 games. That's only 2 times where it did not go 7, 2015 and 2018. And what did I say at the top of the playoffs? You were on this program with me. It comes down to pitching. The Dodgers didn't learn that lesson. The Cubs didn't learn that lesson. The Yankees certainly didn't learn that lesson. The 2 teams that had the best pitching staffs are playing Game 7 tonight.
Exactly. And that's what's going to come down to is whose bullpen can pick up if the starter falters.
I don't think the bullpen's going to be necessary. I picked the Astros to win this series, but I don't think the bullpen's going to be necessary for the Nats should Mad Max settle in early. And for him to settle in early, he's got to keep those Houston bats off bases.
He's got to get those breaking balls going early if he's going to have a chance against Houston.
And that slider is his wipeout pitch. And it's got to be going early.
I was going to say, I'm going to put it to you this way. If Max is under 60 pitches after 5 innings, you're going to see him go 8.
Easy. Just like with Strasburg. Strasburg only, I didn't see how many pitches he threw, but he, at a time when I had a chance to peek in on the game, they were in the 4th inning, and he only threw 35 pitches.
Exactly. And that's the fact of the matter is if they're able to go deep into a game under, I'm going to say 60 pitches for both of them. If they're under 60 pitches within 5-6 innings, you're going to see them go a ways.
Yep. And a little bit of trivia for the folks. Who was the last pitcher to go the distance in a clinching game? The answer may surprise you. I'll reveal that after the break. The big dog Shane Lake joining me to talk some World Series and to talk a move that should have done a long time ago for student athletes. Man, it's a pleasure to have you on. Thanks a lot.
As always, boss.
Shane Lake will join me throughout the course of the show on days when he's also a parent, so you got to hang with him as well. Hey, catch me on Arena Sports Net Radio, KSRN Arizona, and Western Reserve Digital Radio, Western Reserve Digital 2 to be exact. Gonna pause. When we come back, I got some more stuff for you. Back in a flash.
1 in 3 adults in America have pre-diabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. It took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Here's 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mama. In other words, my mom living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection never captures our true selves.
Huh?
Within,
C, look on the bright side.
less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens will love you just the same.
For more information, contact You Gotta Believe at yougottabelieve.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels here. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. Seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. With Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week, just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break will make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americasdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern never talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me, and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So, me to move on. I've got a great resume, and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
Next! Excellent. What?
Well, we still roll along here on the second half of Snowman in the Morning. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you to my guests, Lake, who kicked off hour 2, Mike DeBay, who came in at the bottom of hour 1, and I believe I'm scheduled to have a third guest with his NFL midseason awards. We'll see what happens with that here in just a moment. Now, I want to look at a Thursday night game, which is happening tomorrow on Halloween. That is very important for both teams involved. The game is the San Francisco 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals. You know the story about the Cardinals. They're rebuilding. They're leaning on Kyle Murray to do their deeds for them at quarterback. And at times, he's looked great. Other times, though, he hasn't made good decisions. He's a rookie quarterback, and he's going to have those moments, and he's going to have those. Why is this important for Arizona? A chance to knock off an undefeated team in the 49ers. You know what the 49ers did last Sunday. They demolished a very good Carolina defense and hung 51 points on those guys. 51 points. First time the 49ers have been undefeated since 1990. When they started 10-0, and that could possibly happen. Seattle is going to be the toughest test of this 3-week stretch. You get the Cardinals tonight. 10 days later, you get Seattle, and then you get the Cardinals again in the Bay. And I believe I'm going to get a box score moment with B.J. Williams. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I am doing great, my man. Good to have you on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You said you had some midseason awards to hand out. Let's hand them out.
I do. It's been an interesting season, I have to admit. I mean, obviously the Patriots are the Patriots. They are what they are, and
yep.
So they, of course, are a lot of very surprising teams over the course of the year.
All right.
And certainly the 49ers being undefeated, their defense being what it is. That's actually going to play them in midseason awards here in a bit. Bit of a teaser there. But we're gonna start with my MVP, and I actually have two.
Okay.
I have one, my official MVP, and then I have my MVP because that's the way it's been over the course of the years. I'm rather so tired of MVPs going simply to the players with the best stats. And I mean, again, Mahomes getting last year, I understand completely. I mean, he had a monstrous year and all that. But the MVP is the most valuable player for a reason. And it shouldn't necessarily be you had the best numbers. And so if I were to vote for the MVP, I would give it to Andrews Pete of the New Orleans Saints on behalf of offensive line.
Oh, I like that choice. Because last friend of mine was on the show and said the same thing about Quentin Nelson of the Indianapolis Colts for the same reason.
Yes, to go now 2-1 with Drew Brees as the quarterback, and then to go 5-0 with a backup quarterback who had not started a game until last year in a couple of years, recovering from a knee injury.
Right.
That is value to me. So Andrews Pete of the New Orleans Saints will be my MVP vote.
Okay.
Now, my other MVP vote, just because this is the way the MVP is, I would probably give it to Deshaun Watson. I mean, monstrous numbers. I almost wanted to give it to a Texas offensive line, but again, he's also been sacked 24 times. So I'll take that for what it's worth.
Right. But I understand both MVP choices. Absolutely dynamite.
My offensive player of the year at midseason is Christian McCaffrey.
Good choice.
Mind-boggling numbers, both rushing and receiving. It's the kind of that any good offensive player should have. So Christian McCaffrey of the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
My defensive player of the year, and I teased this a little bit a minute ago, Nick Bosa of the San Francisco 49ers. The best player on one of the most dominant defenses in the league right now.
If y'all saw what Nick Bosa did Sunday against Carolina, 3 sacks plus an interception for a team that had 7 sacks in that game alone. Bosa is definitely the captain of that defense.
Yeah, absolute monster. He is going to be a star, I think, on the defensive side. So Nick Bosa, defensive player of the year. Comeback player of the year, and we could go a couple of places with this. Now, I'll have to get back to that because I had a name in my head, but it's stuck out of my head here. So I'll go to Coach of the Year. Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills.
Really?
Yes, they laid an egg against the Eagles, but to see them do what they've done so far in the first half of the year, basically taking the reins as that number 2 team in the AFC East, he would be my Coach of the Year. My second choice, if I were to have one, would be Sean Payton of the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, why Sean Payton?
The job he's done with the Saints, and he honestly don't think he gets his due as far as being an outstanding coach for the New Orleans Saints.
I'll agree with that.
Just to see what he has done, he would. If I didn't give my vote to Sean McDermott, I would probably give it to Sean Payton. The fact that he's only been Coach of the Year one time, I believe.
Yeah, only once.
In his entire career is mind-boggling to me. It's absolutely mind-boggling.
I'll give you another choice that I have for Coach of the Year, Kyle Shanahan.
Definitely would be my third choice. I mean, he's a guy you had to wonder why he even was a coach. What was waiting till now to become a head coach in the NFL? I mean, he probably was one of the best prospects for coaching over the course of the year. That goes without saying.
Mm-hmm. But everybody's going to look at how they finish before they vote for Coach of the Year. But my choice would be Kyle Shanahan for the way he
and
has.
I would certainly agree with that, because of the job he's done in San Francisco.
And the way he's resurrected the 49ers back to prominence. They get a big test Thursday night. What are some other awards you got?
Let's see. Probably my biggest disappointment would probably be the Chicago Bears.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree with you there.
The defense is what carried them last year, and the defense is the reason why they are where they are this year.
Yes.
And that is probably my biggest disappointment. My offensive rookie of the year, I could probably go a couple of ways. Terry McLaurin of the Redskins, he's probably the best offensive player the Redskins have right now on a very bad Redskins team.
Mm-hmm.
And probably my defensive rookie of the year would again be Nick Bosa. I mean, he is good enough that he could literally be both in the NFL this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and those are the only ones I have right now. I had a comeback player of the year. I'll probably text it to you later, just because it's not coming to me right now. But I had a couple of players in mind for that award, and you'll see it. You'll definitely see it in my blog post, which will probably up either tonight or tomorrow.
All right. It's BJ Williams of Box Score Sports joining me with his mid-season awards. I thank you for coming on the program, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, bud. Have a good one.
Thank you. I get all kinds of good people on the show, and it's doing it. It's fun doing this. I am going to wrap it up here because I have to go to work. I have to go to work today. But on top of that, I want to leave y'all with a good word, and the good word goes like this: be good to each other, nice to each other. And Kevin Hart said this at the end of one of his commercials. If you can laugh together, you can live together. If you can live together, you can love together. And that is so true. That is ever so true. Coming up tomorrow on the morning program, you'll get a more in-depth, deep dive preview of the 49ers and the Cardinals. There will be a World Series champion. We'll dive into that. The Lakers are 3-1, but I suspect something bad will happen soon, even though they're playing well right now. And I will reveal not only my college football top 4, but my NFL top 5. Let them both off for a couple of days. I want to be sure I got everything together. And that's going to close us out. Don't forget, you can catch me live every day, 9 a.m. Eastern on Arena Sportsnet, full press coverage, KSRN Arizona, as well as the Western Reserve Digital Radio Network, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live, where you can see the video. The call-in number, you know it well, 773-67208. Want to advertise on this program? Drop an email to snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. That's snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com, and you can catch the podcast beginning at 3 p.m. every day on Apple Podcasts and Podcasts, and we hope that you join us as well. Our Patreon will be launched on November 1st. You can join for as low as $5 a month. If you're a fan, you'll get some exclusive content, exclusive behind-the-scenes footage as we continue to build studio, and you'll get exclusive behind-the-scenes stuff of some of the blogs that I'm going to put. My engineer has been the beautiful Dr. K. She's helped us today. Thank you for that. Shane Lake is my producer. Now, I want to say to y'all on a rainy day here, but I hope you have a lot of sunshine inside your heart. Until tomorrow, have a great day, guys. Remember to make your next move your best move, and always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they are not big enough. Dream big, do bigger, and more importantly, don't be afraid to follow your dreams. Follow them, chase them, catch them, and then catch some more. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Until then, Snowman out.